Well, hello, everybody. My name is Mark Belash. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Thanks very much for being here. We have about half an hour left in the event. So hopefully you've been able to network with a few people. I've been through the networking area, through the sessions, a lot of great information if you're looking to immigrate to Canada. Great opportunity, great time. So really excited about the panel that we have. We have five great panelists other than myself. And we're going to talk about immigrating to Canada. Lots to cover, so let's get right into it. So Rakesh Khanna, Managing Director of Maple Leaf Settlement Services. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you do, Rakesh?
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm Rakesh Khanna. I'm the Managing Director and founder of Maple Leaf Settlement Service. So I came to Canada in 2015, like 5 years back. So it was a quite difficult time to find a right job, in the career. Then I got into the employee world, right? So I was working as a manager for business development for a logistic company. Then I found a lot of opportunity in the market, like because the people when they come to Canada, not everybody having a direction of the things needs to be done. Right, because they don't know, finding a job, how to find a job, and how to find the right area to settle down, or which location they have to go. So these are some of the major challenges the newcomers faced in Canada. So I kept this in mind. Okay, there is an opportunity to help the people out there, who are migrating to Canada. So that's how I initiated, along with my job at that point of time, Maple Leaf Settlement Service. So what we do is that we organized, we help the newcomers before even they come to Canada. We assist them to have the pre-arrival guidance. Means they will know exactly what all things needs to be brought to Canada, and they will be knowing what all things they have to plan for the next 1 year after their arrival in Canada. Okay. And we align the service in such a way that we help the people to pick up from the airport, and before even they come, we make sure their accommodation is all set. And in the initial 1 to 2 days, we help them with all the basic needs, including SIN number assistance, account setup, helping them to get the groceries and all the initial things that needs to be done. So that, and in 2 to 3 days, we ensure that the person who land in Canada, they will be having a very well awareness of everything, including the child care benefit and everything. We will get help them to set up. Now we transition from paid service to volunteering. Okay, because we got into real estate and other business, so we thought, okay, why can't we do a community service? So we transition from paid services to volunteering, where we are helping at least 50 immigrants in a month with the free guidance. Often 1 hour, we help them with free guidance. So these people will be having an idea, okay, how they have to take their life forefront from where they are to where they really want to be. So that's a little bit about it. Thank you, Mark.
And how does someone get hold of you, Rakesh? Like how can someone connect with you?
So to social media platform, and mainly to referrals like Facebook, because I have a Facebook group called One Family Canada, where we have more than 30,000 newcomers who are in Canada and who are migrating to Canada. And also I'm very active in LinkedIn. Also, I'm in more than 1,000 WhatsApp groups. So where the newcomers are coming. So that's how we get hold of the people, and we get a lot of referrals from the people we have already helped in this country after landing.
Terrific. Rakesh Khanna, Managing Director of Maple Leaf Settlement Services. And you can also connect with Rakesh through the reception area. And we'll come back to you, Rakesh, just going around the rest of the panel. Pravi Kapoor, partner Setcan, is joining us online. So let's see how this works out. He's calling in. Pravi, do you want to say a couple of words here?
Thank you so much, Mark. I hope my voice is coming out okay, because I'm connecting on the phone.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Great, Mark. So, Mark, similar to Rakesh, my services are similar to Rakesh. So, I'm a new immigrant. It's been about less than a year that I moved to Canada. And this entire service that I started is, moreover, an experience that I want to give everybody, right from me coming to Canada, what all I went through. I realized there was an opportunity for people to understand what are the best practices to follow, right? So Setcan was a child born out of this need. And we've been operational for the past 6 months, helping a lot of people who are wanting to come to Canada. I help them prepare in terms of how they can be ready for the job market while they are in their home countries. What are the kind of certifications that they need to look in? So I did a lot of research in terms of the job industries over here. I probably point them at a direction. I ask them to, be more diligent in terms of understanding their industry. Once they do plan to come to Canada, the pre-arrival assistance is there in terms of what all they need to pack, how they need to, get here. And similar to what Rakesh used to do earlier, now he's moved on to volunteer services. So this SETCAN is a paid service that I'm doing right now. And in the past 6 months, I've been able to help about close to 20 families that have come here. So right from, the pre-arrival assistance to getting their children to school, to helping them, get aligned with different options over here. We provide all those services. And especially in these challenging pandemic times, quarantine stay was another option. So we just added that as well to our portfolio. So we provide quarantine stay when people are coming, so they don't have to bother about multiple things. The moment they land, they're picked up from the airport, put into isolation for about 14 days. If they want to extend that, they go in for about a month, and then we start off with all the services. And yes, so far 20 happy families. Looking forward to get more of them. And we have a webpage. It's called set-can.com. SETCAN is there. We have a family of about 25,000 people on Facebook that goes by the name Permanent Residence Canada. So you guys can find me there. And that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. Thank you, Mark.
Terrific. Thanks, Pravi. So just to let everybody know, so it's set-can is the website. So just so everybody to know, and that's Pravi Kapoor, partner, set-can. Thanks very much, Pravi. So next up, Andrew Carvajal, Delage Law Group. So Andrew, why don't you talk a little bit about your organization, your firm, and
Sure.
what you do, and how you can help people?
Yeah, no, thank you, Mark. So basically, I work at what we call an immigration law boutique. We've been in operation for 10 years, and we are a group of 7 lawyers and like 12 people in total, but 7 lawyers that specialize in Canadian immigration. Canadian immigration is very broad, as we'll talk a little bit about today. It has more than 80 programs to come to Canada. So we specialize in different things. I am personally a partner, and I'm the head of economic immigration, which means that most of what I do is help companies that are moving people to Canada, so get work permits for employees, but also professionals and entrepreneurs get permanent residence in Canada or come to Canada through temporary residence and then eventually become permanent residents. That's kind of like what I do. Economic immigration through federal and provincial programs. We have an office in Bogota, Colombia as well, so I spend a lot of the time there because through that we operate basically the Latin American area. So our law firm name is Desloges, DESLOGES. Deloge.ca would be our website. That's the way to find us and hear a little bit about what we do.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for being on here. Then we have Daniel Mandelbaum, founder and principal lawyer at Mandelbaum Immigration Lawyers. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what you do, Daniel, and maybe how yours is different from Andrew, or maybe the same.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you inviting me to speak on the panel today. So I am the founder and principal lawyer of Mandelbaum Immigration Lawyers. Like Desloges and Andrew's practice, I have a Canadian immigration law firm. The practice includes helping companies, professionals, and entrepreneurs from all over the world obtain work permits, permanent residency, and citizenship for Canada. Part of our practice focus is helping freelance IT professionals with their work relocation strategies and developing strategies to transform their international careers and their foreign contracts into opportunities to work into Canada, as well as developing business immigration human resource strategies for small and medium-sized enterprises and startups to enable them to access global talent, bring them to Canada, grow their companies in Canada, and then plan for a broader North American expansion. And you can connect with me on my website. That would be dmandelbaum.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and people also find me through word of mouth.
Terrific. Thanks very much for being on, Daniel. And last but not least, Philip Cohen, President of Strategic Element. Phil, thanks for being on, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what you do as well.
Thanks for having me on, Mark. Nice to be here. Yes, I'm founder and president of Strategic Element, and we, unlike my esteemed panelists here, my company starts and ends where their job finishes. We're primarily focused in the area of business immigration, so we work alongside the legal team or the consultants to help develop business plans that qualify under various business immigration programs. We do things like feasibility studies. We also help do some planning in terms of finding businesses or strategizing to help get businesses started. We've been around since 2010, and we work on both sides of the border, Canada, US, and we're involved in many different immigration programs. Looking forward to being on this panel today.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Phil. So my name is Mark Belash. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. So if you have any questions, you're watching, you have questions, this is the best panel that will answer everything from start to finish. So just throw them in the event or the stage chat, and I will moderate any questions that come in. Don't be shy. I know there's sometimes a little bit of, don't want to be the first one, but we only have less than 20 minutes here. So we're live. So ask your questions now. Now's the best time. So Rakesh, why don't we turn to you, and maybe you can talk briefly about, kind of the challenges that you had coming to Canada, what you think people's challenges will be once they land or even before they get here.
So because thank you, Mark. As I mentioned, right, I came in 2015, so I was in the shoes of a newcomer at that point of time. So when I came to Canada, I had a master's degree by myself, and I was trying to find a job, but I actually was distracted because I was not sure exactly what field I want to go ahead, right? Because I came in Canada in mid of 20s. So initially I entered into the startup job, and I started working, but that created a big career gap in my resume, because in my profession I'm into marketing and sales. So I was not able to kickstart with my profession. That created a huge career gap in my resume. So it took a while, around 1 year time, for me to find a right job that needed in my career. After doing multiple job searches, that's how I ultimately found it. So the thing is, so we actually work in such a way that we will be the mistakes that what I made, I incorporated in the settlement service, so that the people will not replicate, because life is very short to learn from our mistake, right? We need to learn from somebody's mistakes. So that's what exactly we are practicing in Maple Leaf Settlement Service, so that the people will not do the mistake I committed when I came as a newcomer to this country.
Right. Perfect. And Andrew, with an immigration lawyer, obviously there's benefits of doing it. Is it mandatory? Like, does someone need an immigration lawyer? Like, maybe you can walk through the pros and maybe the cons, or what people should watch for when they're looking at it, getting an immigration lawyer.
So it's not a mandatory thing. I mean, it's kind of like, to some extent, it's like kind of filing your taxes, right? You don't need an accountant, but you could do it yourself, but like many people do, right? And immigration is to some extent that way. Like, I mean, there's some immigration paths that might be a lot more simple, and some that are very complex, where you actually need a lot more help. And it's interesting because, like, a lot of I would say 40% or 35 to 40% of the business that I do is I work with people who have tried on their own to do their immigration, or they tried with someone else, they've been unsuccessful because people have made mistakes, or sometimes they don't, just even like looking at all the different paths within those 80 different programs, they might be focused on one of them. They might not know that there's other alternatives. So I think that what we do best, like all of us as immigration practitioners, is kind of like help people find what's the best path for them, because the one that might have worked for their cousin or their friend or their colleague might not be the same one for them. And obviously knowing how often things change and all the requirements that are involved, helping them navigate that to get a successful result, and one that happens soon to some extent. And it's complicated. I mean, that's why we specialize. I mean, it's very hard to just be an immigration lawyer that does everything, or an immigration practitioner that does everything. So I would say, if you're looking to immigrate to Canada because as a business person, or you're looking to come as a student, or you're looking to come as an IT professional, I know Daniel works with a lot of with those. Try to find someone who has a track record and some experience in what you do. Because I am good at what I do, but I'm not a refugee lawyer. There's other people who are better at doing refugee law, some of them at my firm. So try to find someone who does what you do, who you feel confident working with, and who's clear and honest about what they do and ethical about what they do too. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in our occupation who are not ethical and who are trying to take advantage of immigrants, which is very sad. And especially a lot of people who are not even regulated and they're doing it illegally. So make sure that they're certified, that they're regulated, that they know what they do, that they've done the application that you've done in the past, and that they help you navigate the options. Because sometimes you might think that there's one way to come to Canada, but you might not know that there's other ways. And it's just like the experts and the people who have been doing it for many years that can kind of like help you narrow down that and help you with it.
That's great.
I just want to jump in, if I may, Mark, just on one
okay.
point. Having worked with many immigration lawyers, I just would add to Andrew's comment is that you can look at the immigration regulations, you can feel that you understand them, but there are a lot of subtleties to these regulations, and there are a lot of interpretive requirements. So it's not always straightforward and upfront. And on top of that, immigration lawyers, immigration consultants have dealt with challenges to their applications, where if you haven't had that experience, you don't really know what they're really looking for till you've been through it all. So I can't understate the importance of what my colleagues here do.
Yeah, that's good. Daniel, do you want to add anything to that, or?
Yes, I was actually going to add on to a little bit what Andrew and Phil both said. So, like Andrew was saying, it's not really about what you know or what you think you know. It often comes down to what you don't know. And there is a heck of a lot to know in the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act in terms of what programs are available, what strategies. And just to build on Phil's point about different definitions, there's over half a dozen different definitions of what work and work experience are, and different definitions apply depending on what type of program. So a person who, what is the meaning of work and what does that mean in terms of obtaining a work permit can mean something very different when you're applying for permanent residency. And so that means, what type of work experience have you obtained overseas or in Canada? On a work permit, is it qualifying for an immigration program? Is it not qualifying? How do I make sure that I set up my employment agreement, my contracts the right way, so that way I will take most advantage of the opportunities that are available to immigrate on a permanent basis, if that's your long-term goal. That sort of level of minutia can often get lost on people who don't have the technical knowledge of the law that they have. So I think it's very important that when you are considering your options and maybe you've tried and you've explored some of them, not to necessarily give up if you don't think something is working for you, you encounter a problem, but to look for a professional who, like Andrew says, has experience in the area that your profession is in and has experience working with people from your background, who can help you out and help you determine the right strategy to bring you to Canada. And sometimes for not just workers, but for employees, that can mean a big difference in terms of retaining your talent in Canada. I mean, an employee who comes to Canada that a company hires or brings in through a skilled immigration program on a temporary work permit, and then unfortunately has to lose that person because they weren't able to obtain an extension for that work authorization, can be very, very disruptive to a company's team and human resource planning and throw projects, into a tailspin. So part of also working with an immigration lawyer will help avoid some of those pitfalls that can take place. And then the other side of it is what we call compliance with work authorizations. A lot of companies who hire workers tend to think in terms of human resources and employment law, not being fully aware that the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act has an entirely separate and distinct regime for managing the relationships between workers and their companies. When a company inadvertently runs afoul of that, it can lead to fines, what we call administrative monetary penalties, It can also lead to the suspension of a work permit for your workers or the worker in question. So it's really important that both the company and the worker, the professional, obtain the correct legal advice to make sure that they don't run afoul of any of the programs.
Excellent. Great points, Daniel. Phil, with business, because you deal with people from other countries and businesses and so on. So what suggestions would you have for people that, are looking to come to Canada with business in mind?
A few things I would point out. One is that what I commonly see is sort of a desire to get the visa without really thinking through the business so much. That's not always the case, but certainly I see it regularly. And I would just advise people primarily to consider the business, speak to somebody locally, presenting a credible business plan or idea to the authorities is really, really important. And they're used to seeing people try to bluff their way through things. So I would just say, learn your market, know your business, know what you want to do, and don't count on others to devise it for you. Speak to professionals where you can to get the help that you need. So that your case is solid and that you're starting a real business that's contributing to the country, which is what really the authorities want to see.
And if I could just add to what Phil said, after you've developed that credible plan for your company, if you're seeking to open something new here in Canada, follow through is really important, because if you come to Canada through a program, a startup intra-company transfer, or other forms of entrepreneurial work permit programs, and then you go back for a work permit extension, you didn't follow through with your business plan, the immigration department may very well refuse that extension. And if you're relying on that work experience to obtain permanent residency, you may have put a lot of time, money, and effort into a strategy that ultimately fails because the business failed. So it's very important, as Phil said, to have a credible plan, but then to follow through. And that's where often I see, best intentions sometimes don't always work out, particularly in the middle of a pandemic. I've seen some unfortunate cases of that happening.
Right. So Pravi Kapoor is partner at SETCAN. He's on the phone with us. So Pravi, moving on to the story of 2020, the pandemic, COVID, the minister has said that looking at bringing in over the next 3 years to bring in 1.2 million immigrants over the next 3 years, so 400,000 each of the next 3 years. What are you seeing on the practically speaking? What's going on immigration-wise? How's that impacting Canada? What are you seeing from that perspective?
So I think that's a welcome thing because we need workforce. However, there is another catch to it. The moment the workforce is invited, it takes about 6 months to a year for that workforce to be mainstream, because there is a barrier when you come in, right? And rightly, because of the fact that you're coming from a very diverse background, you have a very different occupational standard to follow. When you come to a different culture, you need to assimilate into that, and it takes about 6 months for you to understand that, and a lot of certifications, a lot of knowledge, going back to college helps you with that. But increasingly, 6 months later, you have a greater workforce. So what the minister announced in terms of 400,000 people joining in, so it would be delayed by 6 months. But we are expecting, say, 2020, if 400,000 people join in. So by mid of 2021, we would start seeing a lot of people, getting employment. The industry, moving forward after the pandemic. And as I said, there has been a lull for about a year. Everybody is wanting to get back on the toes. All businesses want to get back on the toes. Workforce is where, required. Fresh blood is required. People from different diverse backgrounds that will be coming in. So in all, it's a great opportunity. It's a great place to start with. So all those people that are still contemplating as to whether to plunge in, whether to jump in, this is the opportune time. Please go ahead. All of our fellow panelists, we can guide you in whatever form we can. So please do reach out to all of us, and whosoever is in requirement for any services or information, we are a capable team that can help you out with that.
Terrific. Well, thanks, Pravi. And Pravi is part of SetCan, Pravi Kapoor on the phone. So let's go around real quick. We just have a few minutes left here. So maybe 30 seconds for each of you. Just any other thoughts that you might have, any other suggestions that you might have for somebody watching, an immigrant, somebody looking to come to Canada, thinking about coming to Canada. Rakesh, why don't we start with you?
So the most important thing is that, it's not about immigrating. They have to do their background studies, like which field they are basically into. For example, some fields like whether are you into medical field or are you a lawyer. So there are lots of educational things that you need to complete. So you need to look into a profession before you immigrating. But majority of the profession, right? Like let it be IT. It's a lot of opportunity for the newcomers. Or let you be a like a engineer. There are lots of opportunity, right? So look into a profession and and make a decision. And this is a country of opportunity. If you are if you are coming to and if you are ready to give up some of your comfort zone and come to this country will give you all the blessing, and you can your life will be very good after a while, right?
Terrific. Thanks Rakesh. And Andrew?
I mean, a year as difficult as this one really gave us some perspective of what Canada really is like. When instead of doing what the US was doing in other countries, so just like shutting down immigration, the government has been working really hard to accommodate international students, international workers, people who are stranded in Canada, to try to change their status and try to do it quickly so that they can help Canadians, so that they can go into the labor force, so they can work. So I think it really showed how we are, that we really depend on immigration. And I think as it's always been, it's a great place to come. It's competitive. It's not as easy as it may seem. You need to have some skill set. You need to have things going on. So it's important to find out the right path, if there's one. Sometimes there might not be one. Be advised properly and look for the long term. So I think what Daniel was saying before and Phil were saying, that sometimes if you're a business immigrant, it's not just about getting the permit. It's about how you're going to transition to permanent residence. And I think some of the people that you might get advice from, or the research that you do on your own, doesn't consider that. So it's important at the end of the day, it's your life, right? Like, I mean, you're dealing with your life dream. Come up with the right strategy and do it properly.
Terrific. Thanks, Andrew. Daniel?
I would say that it's very important to plan early. And even though the supply, if we were to speak in terms of supply and demand economics, the supply seems to be increasing in terms of the number of spots available for new immigrants. The demand has consistently over the last few years been outstripping the supply. And it seems that even when the immigration department increases their levels, year after year, the number of people who are highly qualified who want to come to Canada seems to outstrip that. So a lot of our programs, and especially our some of our flagship programs like Express Entry, it's basically a competition, like Andrew was highlighting before. And unless you know that you're getting the maximum number of points, and you've had the opportunity to speak to a professional to ensure that you are, you may be outcompeted by someone else simply because they maybe found some help and found another way to increase their scores. So I don't really see that demand decreasing in the long run, particularly with what's happening south of the border in the United States, what's happened over the last few years. A lot of highly skilled tech workers, which is my area of focus, are now looking up north to Canada, and a lot of tech companies are moving their people up to Canada, which is adding to the competition. So plan early, and just be in mind that the people you're competing against may have hired the services of a professional to help them out, and that's something that you may want to consider.
Terrific. Thanks, Daniel. Phil, last comments, 20 seconds maybe? We're running out of time here. So
just very simply put, I'd say coming to credibility, what you put forward is really so important, believability, and while you may get a chance to address concerns that authorities question when they question your application, you can consider that you get second chances. But I always say to people, act as if you don't get a second chance, because sometimes it's really hard to go back on what you said. I said I was going to hire one employee, but I'm hiring three. You lose credibility, and then your whole case, at a certain point, you may not get that chance anymore.
Terrific. Thanks so much. So thanks to all of you, Rakesh, Andrew, Daniel, Phil, Pravi Kapoor, who's on the phone, partner Setcan. Thanks for being here. I want to thank everybody for attending. My name is Mark Belash. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. This event has been presented by TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca and powered by Event Logic with a K.ca. Send us feedback. Let us know how we did, how you'd like us to improve. We're setting up our events for next year. We have immigrants, Canadian immigrants job fair coming up in the new year, as well as another Immigrating to Canada conference that we're going to be running in the first quarter again. I want to thank all the speakers, all the sponsors and exhibitors as well. If you're interested in participating in this event in the future, please feel free to connect with me as well through LinkedIn. I want to thank the team also, Alex, Rachel, and Jesse, Sandra, and Jericho for helping out. It's a big team effort to put this on today as well. Visit TorontoJobs.ca/news. That's TorontoJobs.ca/NEWS for information about all of our upcoming events. And make sure if you're looking for a job, visit TorontoJobs.ca. You can also follow us on all our social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and check out our YouTube channel as well. And I just wanted to say thanks and best wishes to all of you on the panel, everybody watching for the holidays and for 2021. And let's hope 2021 is better than 2020. We probably say that each year, but really we mean it this year. So thanks very much to everybody and best wishes. And thanks very much again.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks.